Hi, welcome to today's English class. In the previous class, we discussed chapter 14, The Luncheon. It was a story written by the author William Somerset Maugham. And this one is a narrative story which the author had narrated an incident that happened in his life. It was a long ago. The narrator had offered a girl for the dinner. And at that time, the narrator was really poor. He was earning barely enough money for his living. And he was living in a tiny apartment in Paris. And there he received letters from one of his readers. They had conversation in exchanging the letters. The girl asked the narrator if they could have a chat. And the narrator, he invited the girl for a luncheon. It was all set at Foyot's restaurant on Thursday at 12:30. You know it really well, the author barely had enough money for his living and he had only 80 francs to spend for the rest of the month. And he knew that a modest luncheon would never go above 15 francs. So if he cuts coffee for the next 2 weeks, he could manage it really well. That's the thought he had in his mind. They both sat inside the Foyot's restaurant and they started having a conversation. The girl, she was talkative. She talked about the author's stories and he became an active listener to her. And there came the waiter. He got the order from them. She ordered salmon, caviar, asparagus. And the narrator, he ordered the cheapest item on the list, a mutton chop. And that's all we got discussed in the previous class. And in today's class, we are going to see what had happened next. The narrator and the girl, they had salmon, caviar and the mutton chop. They had it. And they were waiting for the asparagus to be cooked. Now, something is rolling inside the mind of the narrator. Because it was not a question now how much money I should have left for the rest of the month. Now the question is, it's not about having the money for the rest of the month. It's all about whether I had enough money to pay the bill. He knew it. The bill is going to be expensive because they have ordered salmon, caviar, asparagus and one miserable mutton chop. Now the question running inside his mind, whether he could afford all these things. Now everything is running inside the narrator's mind. He said this to himself. What if the bill goes beyond? What could I do? How could I pay the bill? What if I have 10 francs short? How could I ask her? That would not be polite. Then how can I pay the bill? After thinking a lot, the narrator made up his mind. Now, if the waiter came with the bill, I would just put my hand inside the pocket and like searching the money, I would just cry and say them, my money has been picked. That would be a great idea, he thought. But what if she doesn't have the money to pay the bill either? It would really be shameful. Okay, that's all. I have a watch. I will just give them my watch. If the bill goes higher, I would just give my watch to them and will ask them, I'll go and get the money for them. Yes, it was all set in his mind. The asparagus arrived. The narrator from the opposite side, he was watching her eating the asparagus. She was eating the asparagus in large mouthfuls. And at last, she finished. I thought that would be the last thing she had ordered. So I said, shall we have a coffee? And she replied, an ice cream and a coffee. She added 2 things on her list. An ice cream, coffee. And here, for the narrator, a coffee. He ordered. The narrator ordered ice cream and coffee for the girl and coffee for him. And now she just started talking to the narrator. She said to the narrator, you know, that's one thing I thoroughly believe in. One should always get up from a meal feeling one could really eat a little more. Yes, her advice was one should always get up from the meal when they had the feeling of eating a little more. The narrator was confused and asked her, are you still hungry? hungry, I don't eat luncheon. I only have a cup of coffee in the morning and then dinner. But I never eat more than one thing for the luncheon. I was speaking for you. Oh, I see. The narrator thought in his mind, she has already ordered salmon, caviar, asparagus, ice cream, coffee, and now she is saying that she would never eat more than one thing for the luncheon. And you know what? Then a terrible thing happened. The head waiter, he brought a basket full of peaches. But surely that was not the season for peaches. Lord only knew what that cost. He just placed it in our table. And in the conversation, in the middle of the conversation, she absent-mindedly took one of the peaches and started eating it. And on eating that, she said, "You see, you have filled your stomach with a lot of meat." Yes, she was talking about the one miserable mutton chop. And now you can't eat more. But see me, I just had a little snack and now I'm enjoying the peach. The waiter came with a bill. I saw it. I had the enough money to pay the bill. But I was not able to give a high tip. I just gave an inadequate tip and I knew it. She could have thought that I was mean to the waiter. I had given 3 francs as a tip for the waiter. And because that was the lost money I had in my pocket. And when I walked out of the restaurant, I had the whole month before me. I had the whole month before me and not a penny in my pocket. I don't have a single franc to spend the rest of the month. And on the outside of the restaurant, she shook the hands of the narrator and advised him, "Follow my example. Don't eat more than one thing for luncheon." And you know what the narrator had replied? "I'll do better than you. You know, I'm not going to eat dinner tonight." She laughed at it. She said, "You are a humorous person." And she jumped into the cab and went away. And the narrator left with no money for the rest of the month. He, however, managed it. And at last, he had taken the revenge. But the narrator, the author, was not a vindictive man. He was not the man who likes to take revenge on others. But that is God. If the God takes revenge, it will always be satisfying. Yes, the author was satisfied looking at her because she now weighed 21 stones. Today she weighs 21 stone. That is approximately equal to 133 kilograms. And that's all. That's the happy ending of the story. I hope you have enjoyed it really well. Thank you for watching this video.